Hello, we're going to be talking about how to set your profit and loss up for a 12-month period. Now, what we're going to be focusing on in this course is one of the harder things that people tend to find when they're starting up a business, and it's predicting sales to a somewhat accurate degree, right? Your profit and loss for 12 months is not meant to be set in stone. You're not meant to pave it into the wall. It is, however, a method of thinking for you on what you could expect to get, and based on that, and based on your competitors and other data points on what your company can generate, right? And how much sales and how many customers you would need to get to the point where you want to be, all right, or where you could be. So let's just start off with the spreadsheet right here, which is the template is in the description, and it's also, if on the course, you'll see it on the in the write out for this course. So if we quickly come in here and I just run over a few points with you, all right, everything here in the pre-expansion phase, all right, that is simply the amount of money that you're putting into the company when you first start your 12-month fiscal, or financial projection year. All right. So what I mean by that, if you're starting on the 1st of January, everything you put in on the 1st of January and everything you put into the company in December is money going into that year of planning, let's say. All right. So let's go into sales cash versus credit over here. All right. Credit basically means money owed into you. Somebody is going to pay you. It's not in your bank account at the moment, whereas sales cash, it's in your bank account or in your wallet. All right. Promoter funds and other income. This can be used to describe investors or other types of grants and loans and stuff like that, that you might take on when you're starting off your business. All right. Everything you see here in the total is automatically inputted by the spreadsheet, so you don't have to worry about that. But what I want to go through today is a few data points and a few little training or a few little places you can look for information on how you'd actually predict how many sales you could generate with your company. It can be quite difficult for some people. So let's just quickly jump into my first place where I would go to look if I was creating a profit and loss. All right. And where that is going to be is on Facebook. So here is the business page of Facebook. We come in here now to boost a quick post. I want to show you where you can get a really good indication of your target market size, right? And you can play around with this. So we're going to skip over all this, but where we're actually going to be looking at is your audience. All right. So we're going to come in here and we're going to, I just put a test audience in here that we can use. And I'm going to pop in here now and I'm going to hit edit here. Now it might be a little bit different for you, but it's on your audience tab anyway. And when you come in here, you can select your ages, your genders, your location, which is very important if you're a local business, and your target market interests, right? So if you're a bakery, perhaps somebody who's interested in bakery related topics, if you type something in here, you'll get a lot of suggestions, so you can play around with that and kind of see what's there. If you're a photographer who's specializing for weddings, you can put in wedding receptions, wedding dresses, and marriages. All right. So for the whole area of Dublin, it says here that we have 53,000 audience size. Now obviously there's probably not 53,000 people that are having a wedding this year, but there's 50, what Facebook is telling us is that there's 53,000 people out there that are interested in weddings, which we can derive from that they had a wedding, they are planning on a wedding, or they're literally in the process of making one in the very future term. So that can give you a good indication of your market size, right? That's a great place to start to kind of see, right, what's the whole market, right? Then what you want to be doing is thinking about looking at your competitors and trying to figure out how much revenue are they generating, and what's their sales looking like, and based on that you can get also a very good idea of what you can do. All right. And one of the great places to go is Cro.ie, which is the company register place, and there's something called auditor search on Cro.ie that you can click on and actually look up your competing companies. And a lot of the time, if they're in business for more than a year or 2 years, they're going to have financial statements that you could either buy, or sometimes they're free, like this one here, this example that I want to pull up. Based on that, you're going to get like an exact figure of what they've generated revenue wise, right? And you can use that figure to kind of be more confident in whatever you get, right? So if a company is in the business for 4 or 5 years and for some reason you're making revenues that are better than them, or that are too low compared to what they've done, you might get some indication of your minimum and maximum kind of growth for your first year. So I'm not going to check this out here, but I've already requested to get that file from Cro.ie, and it's in my email here. You can see that this company's not long enough around, or they haven't made any profit for this year. But for an example, for your other competitors, you might see what their opening balance is, maybe how much they invested into the company, and what they came out with at the end of the year. So that's a great place to look for some information and browse around. Most of the time, the financial records cost between €3 and €5. So it's not just a very small investment to get some accurate figures. Second place is to go to your competitors' websites and get a price point for what they're charging, right? Now you probably have a figure already of what you want to charge your service for, but you want to kind of figure out the mins and the maxes of how much people are charging, right? You maybe want to be in the high value market, the medium value, or the low market. And what's important is not to set your prices based on, okay, I'm new to the scene, I'm new to business, I'm going to set them really low, but to set them on the actual quality of your product and what market you're trying to target, right? You shouldn't be underpricing yourself. So very important to see what your competitors are doing, the mins and the lows, and kind of get a gauge of where your price points are going to be. Another important fact when you come to your competitors' websites is that they're going to tell you the amount of reviews they had, the testimonials, their employees, more than likely, who they're hiring, and other information. And from that, you can derive a lot of financial information. So, take for example, if we went over to the LinkedIn page, right? So this is our Cryt.ie LinkedIn, and you can see that we have 3 staff. If your competitor's company had 10 employees, and let's just say for simplistic sakes, each one was on €20,000 a year. Well, then you can be extremely confident that that company is generating upwards of €200,000 a year, right? Because they have to pay their salaries. So that could be another indication of how much money they're making, and it can give you an idea of what they're trying to do based on who their employees are. All right. Second thing is if you jump on their Facebook, on their LinkedIn, or any social media, or even Google My Business, you can see the amount of reviews that they have. All right. And if I knew, for example, shout out to Frank Cabin, if I knew that he was in business for 2 years, and over the course of 2 years, he generated 168 reviews, which are more than likely paying customers, and each time he provided a service, it always cost €100. I can then extrapolate how much money he's made over the course of 2 years, right? So that could be another indication of what your competitors are doing. And if you really wanted to dive in, you can even look at dates to see when it was increasing, when it was decreasing. There's a lot of information you can pull out from this to kind of get the balls rolling in terms of what your financial predictions are. So that's that. That's a great way to just get started on trying to get that figure out there. Another few bits that I want to go through is if we pop back here. Um, when we're trying to predict our revenue, all right, we don't want to do, there's 2 ways you can do it. There is your kind of linear progression when you say, right, my competitor, his first year of operating business was 10,000, 20,000 euro, 100,000 euro. I expect to make the same due to X reasons, whatever. And then you kind of divide 100,000 by 12 and you pop that in, right? So it's linear. And then you maybe at the first 3 months you subtract it by 50%, and in the last 3 months you add 50% to show some growth over time. And that's a great way to do it. You also have to think about seasonal differences. So for example, obviously if you're a summer oriented business or a Christmas or e-commerce website or something, your different seasons are going to be very important to you guys. So you have to think about that a little bit. And more importantly, when you're doing your cash sales, this is completely based on money coming in. So you don't have to think about anything about expenses. So even if you know, I don't know, you're selling a camera, all right, and the camera is worth €1,000, that's sales cash, all right. So that's €1,000 coming in to the company. If the camera that you're selling costs you 600, aka profit of 400, you don't have to write that out anywhere. What you have to do is put it in to your expenditure tab. All right, so that's just one little thing as well. Sales cash is always the exact amount of money that you get in. Doesn't account for any type of expenses that you have to pay. All right, so with that, I hope I gave you guys a good place to start, to kind of get the numbers on the spreadsheet and start playing around with that and start being realistic about what you can actually do sales wise. It's probably better to overperform when you're planning your year because you don't want to be stuck in a deficit. And it's also very important to kind of realistically look at your market and realistically set some goals that are achievable for you. and based on that, go out there and achieve them goals, right? So this document is fundamental to any business, and it is the most important document when you're applying for grants, for loans, for showing to investors, whatever it could be. It's extremely important business, right? Element of your business. And it's one that's skipped over a lot or just slapped together for the sake of it. And I think it's one of the most critical failures of somebody planning and starting a business. Um, and it's not set in stone. So you guys put the numbers in there, and then your first month you can come back and say, was that realistic? Was it not realistic? Let's look at the numbers again. That's why it's great to have a document like this. It's a living document. You can come back and you can kind of forecast, all right, the first month, second month wasn't as good as I expected. I'm probably going to have to reduce revenue by 20% this year. All right. Then you look at your expenditure and you say, right, that means I'm going to have to start looking at my expenditure. How can I minimize that expenditure to stay, on your break even and generate a profit, or just be break even for your company? So that's my spiel for today. On the next course about your profit and loss, we're going to go through expenditure, which is a lot easier than I believe than turnover, as you're kind of in full control of your expenditure in most cases. The link for this template will be in the description if you're on YouTube, and it will be in the course text, so you'll see that straight away. And you'll have all your information there. Like I said, it's automated, so these last figures here are automated and these ones are, and you can fill in the rest. So I'll see you on the next one about expenditure, and stick around.